Welcome back, everyone. This is Jacqueline Jacks for Jack's Watercolor, and you are going to be watching me paint artist trading cards. They're ACEO cards, and I do sell the watercolor paper for those over at Jack's Watercolor. This is the palette for the Heart of the Garden watercolor palette coming out in February, and I had this idea to go through some of my previous journals and just kind of remember some different shapes, get some inspiration, and hopefully paint a bunch of these cards so that every single subscriber that is receiving the palette gets a artist trading card from me, and it's a little original watercolor piece. They're really great and so much fun. I find them very inspirational, and I love doing them because I usually line up a bunch of them at once and it gets me out of my head. It's a lot less intimidating, that's for sure. But there's something incredibly special about painting small, you know? It's creating that moment that fits, like that little thing in the palm of your hand, maybe. It's less intimidating. And like I said before, when you're doing a lot of them, you kind of feel like you can't really make a mistake. You feel more brave. So if you have this February watercolor subscription in hand, let's make some crazy cards filled with watercolor flowers so that you can hopefully get some ideas for some different flower petals and some different shapes using these luscious Jack's watercolors. I think they are an amazing palette actually for the February, and I think they're going to be perfect for painting so many like hearts and botanicals, from cards to those kind of themed paintings. So I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you enjoy watching this get out of your head inspirational flower video. ACEO cards, I think, are a little bit like love notes, right? But they're written in color. I feel like there's a tiny story behind each one, and when you give one to someone, it's something really special. The little story maybe brings a little joy, a little movement, a little discovery. It definitely helps me connect with the other artists that are in my subscription, and it feels kind of like a heart-to-heart thing. The red that I'm using is a beautiful red for Valentine's Day, and it really flows well and it builds up. So you can get this like really pretty pinky red shade, but then also start adding full mass tone color. And when you put that neat color right on there, it just starts to really give you, those bold pieces. Now, what you're seeing here is just me making a mess, and I'm going to encourage you to make a huge mess. What you want to do is you want to fill the watercolor page with the colors that you're going to be painting in. Now, it just so happens that the beautiful teal color makes a gorgeous purple when mixed with the red, so that pretty much goes with any botanical I'm going to be painting, because we can go from red to purple shades and then all the greens when you start adding those. It's important to use also a brush that's a little bit bigger than you would think, because it keeps things loose. I'm also kind of using my brush like a sketching pencil or a marker, right? I'm imagining it just filled with color, filled with water, and I'm just kind of sketching those shapes in there and hoping to see something really, really cool emerge. Again, doing it this way is so much less intimidating than anything else. Painting these little treasures taught me something about beautiful, glowing watercolor and botanicals. When we paint small, we let go of perfection, especially with a larger brush. When we move fast and we're a little more free, it becomes more playful. And every brushstroke becomes like an instinct rather than an overthought. And that's where we need to be in order to make these happen, especially doing so many of them. This February, I created a large batch of these cards because I wanted to do something really special for this watercolor palette. Typically, we release the palettes in sets of 12, and that is for a season. But because spring is coming up and it's kind of this in-between phase and it's snowy right now and it's very cold, I thought it was really good just to release the February subscription so that we could kind of tuck it in there and start painting something good for Valentine's Day cards. So whether you're painting something small that you're going to turn into little ACEO cards like these, or you're painting a card or, a gift for someone, consider doing this exercise a few times. You'll not only get small pieces of art that you can give away or that you can place inside of a card or something, but it is going to teach you so much about painting more loose. Remember the messy magic and how that is starting to shape out when you see it. I began by wetting the watercolor paper with the brush and just laying down that loose color, spontaneous, big shapes, letting the colors just bloom and collide and create texture. The goal was to start messy, remember, and now we're kind of like in the randomness. We saw the sparks, we see the ideas. Now I'm taking a flat brush and I'm just kind of like evolving some really cool twists and turns as I glaze in more of that beautiful, bright, bold color. These are abstracts, so we don't want to form the petals too much, but we want the illusion of the petals and the stems. And I find that letting them kind of naturally merge over one another really does look great. I don't want to give them too much space to exist. I want them to be kind of crushing and in there and lots of color and lots of bold strokes. I would dare to say that bold floral seems to be my theme lately. I use large brushes because it makes me move quickly, but it also helps me not hesitate. So if you are overworking paintings, try and use a larger brush. Those large strokes, they keep the flowers airy and they are really full of life. Each card becomes kind of like a small study, right? Something really unique. As far as layering light and the color play, the colors are easy. They really blend well. Things that are unlikely, like mixing the red with the teal, and that gives you this gorgeous purple, these purple tones, whether they be like ruby purples or like more blue purples. It couldn't get any easier than that. And then we have our beautiful green, and then we have a shimmer, which is like a purpley pink shimmer. It's really beautiful. The warmer greens for the leaves kind of catch the light because this green has a lot of yellow in it. So you can liquefy it down and get a lot more yellow, or give it more mass tone and do it neat onto dry paper, and it will give you a really, really nice big kind of dollop of warm green, so that you can kind of mold it, but it has like a soft texture if you dilute it out. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. I think that is a great green to have on hand for sure, because I didn't use any other greens but just this one, and look at what we were able to achieve just by kind of working it in with some of the other colors. There is some negative painting playing a role here as well. There are some areas where I'm lifting color, like I'm doing right now, and some areas where I painted more color in order to make some of the space look a little more bright. So you'll see me carving out light and letting that light shine through, but you'll also see me carving in things. And I even take a tool at some point in this next section and just carve right into the page. So I'm using a flat brush and lots of paint, and I'm doing short, quick strokes. So some of the roses will face forward, some of the flowers will be on their side, and I'm kind of alternating and trying to keep the shapes angular. I feel like some of my better florals, I personally like them to have those rough kind of modern edges because I can always smooth them out later. And I don't know, I find that the shape just is more appealing to me. I don't know if it is the same for you, but it definitely appeals to my eye more when they are more angular, even though they end up a lot softer as we go on. But it is kind of like a more modern look, I guess. Kind of each each card kind of becomes like a window into the heart of the garden palette. It's like this tiny expressive moment that carries a whole lot of energy, right? And it did it in a way that we wouldn't have got this with full-size painting, because I would have to have one big brush in order to do it. So the mix of having like aiming for like a 2.5 by 3.5 flower and then a big, huge brush, it really did play a huge role in making this what it is, because a lot of paint got laid down quickly and it filled the space and kind of collided with itself because it was layered. I think that's one of the reasons why it pulled off so well. I felt like I was sharing a piece of my joy, though, with every subscriber. As I wrapped them up, I was like, "Oh, I really like this one, and I got to remember that this is a great shape." So what it kind of made me feel is, I wanted you to see it, because if this was one of those moments where I saw so many shapes of flowers that I ended up with that I wanted to keep and remember, then maybe this will help you to shape your flowers better and find shapes that you love. And then you could just keep that card, right? Because you would separate them and cut them into 2.5 by 3.5 inches. Then you could keep the ones that you liked and have a little collection of flowers going in different directions, and flowers with leaves, right? And different kinds of flowers. I think that that would be very, very helpful if you're going to be painting a lot of botanicals, because so often you sit down to paint and you're like, you get blank, right? The white paper just kind of intimidates you, and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot how to paint a flower. Or like, am I going to do it on the side? Am I going to do it front facing? What am I going to do? So I think these kind of can pose as almost flashcards in the future. This is probably a great time to notice that I tend to use the flat brush and the angular shader a lot in botanicals, because just as you can see here, there's something about that hard edge that shapes the flower so much better. I don't know, as I said before, if it's me personally that likes the shape, or if it just really is so much easier to shape the flowers with it. So you can see on these four, these are some of my favorite flowers that turned out. And when you look at them in the end and how they turned out, you can kind of see where those shapes really did suit them. It gives you like the petals that you need, but it also gives you the structure without it looking like, it looks modern, but it looks evolved well, you know? And that's why I like to use those flat brushes for petal work. I think it really just does a marvelous job of making it look a lot better than it ever would if you have like absolutely no clue as to how to shape a flower. You just want to do it loosely and do something fun, you know. Yeah, it kind of takes the guesswork out of it. Then I'm using this very, very nice rigger that I love. This one is by Escoda, and they're really hard to get now. So there is one by Neptune out there that is really nice as well. So you can get them by Neptune if you can't find the Escoda one. And I'm using the sapling color. It is such a beautiful color. It's got a yellow base. So in that mass tone, you're going to get the green, but you can dilute it out to get this really bright, beautiful yellow. And then I'm mixing in a little bit of the teal over it, so that it has that, that really nice dark shadow. And that, to me, made, I don't know, I kind of liked this one better than everything I did in this one sitting. I think that was my favorite one, and I really enjoyed painting them. I love how it turned out. And then at the end, I went in with a little metallic peony and just gave it a little burst of metallic. But again, just another kind of like short dashes little slashes, bold pops of color, laying the brush down in areas where you want it to be a little more diluted or to have some shadow effect. Those are things that you can just experiment with, and turning your wrist, turning your fingers, rotating the brush, all of those type of things really do help you to evolve those petals out so quickly, you know? And that's how I do it when I paint. I'm kind of like a very fast painter because I feel like if I paint too slow, the paint will just grab onto the paper and I won't get those variations. And then you have to go back so many times. And I don't love watching tutorials where I'm going, like, having to go back and see them go back layer after layer after layer, because they can't get something that has more texture in those first moments. So for me, using a bigger brush, laying it down, flicks of the wrist, and fast movements get more texture out of one brush stroke than I would if I had to go back on this a zillion times and try to add it. And I feel like it looks a lot smoother and a lot more effortless, than having a lot of watermarks on there. Anyway, I think in this exercise, you might just find that within a few square inches, your heart finds the freedom that it was looking for all along. And if that occurs, then I've done my job. I've done my job really well, because we all have to stare at a blank sheet of paper at some point in our watercolor journey. But being unsure of where to start is kind of par for the course. When you go smaller, it's going to give you that freedom. It's going to give you a lead. It's going to let the texture surprise you, let the brush wander. And then you're going to find yourself in that moving forward. And I think that's really, really important here. I seriously hope your heart finds some freedom. And I hope that this video has inspired you and maybe given you a few ideas for something that you can do to practice your florals. The Heart of the Garden palette is on its way, and I am so excited that all of you will be getting it. If you haven't subscribed to the watercolor subscription, I really recommend it. You can do it in the 3-month palette, or you can either do it month to month. Just go to Jack's Watercolor and look for the seasonal watercolor subscription page. I also have tutorials on YouTube in the private section, and I have a Facebook tutorial group, as well as a lot of free videos and free tutorial groups for you to enjoy. I thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon. This is Jacqueline Jacks for Jack's Watercolor. All of the watercolor used in the video is handmade, made in Canada, of really high quality pigments. They are done with no fillers, no preservatives, so they are a little stronger in color and pigment than the average watercolor, but it is made also with organic binders and honey. And our local honey is just lovely. So it smells delicious. It is artist grade. It is light fast, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So if you haven't tried it yet, I encourage you to do it. It just is wonderful. The paper I'm using is Jack's Cotton, which is 100% cotton watercolor paper, also available at Jack's Watercolor. Have a great day, you guys, and thank you so much for joining me for this video.